Good morning, everyone. Welcome in. I'm just doing my silly little posts, and we'll get started. Babel, welcome in. Heaven, Lily, Cynthia, it's good to see you. How are you this morning? I'll swap over to the screen, even though I'm not gonna get started just yet. I'm really unwell, so most likely I'm gonna leave early. Yes, please do. If you need to lay down or anything like that, please. I'm super glad you're here. I'm glad you could stop by, but please do take care of yourself. Been reading Immolation and I love it so much. I haven't enjoyed a book this much in months. You're amazing. Thank you so much. That means so much to me. I'm really glad to hear you're enjoying it. Doing well, gonna be cleaning my room while listening in. Sounds good to me. A little bit of productivity on the weekend. I'm a big fan of that. I did all my laundry and my usual weekend cleaning yesterday. I have a birthday party to get to later today, so I had to had to shuffle my routine a little bit, but that's all right. Apparently, we're going axe throwing. I don't know, I don't know why, but yeah, apparently that's what we're doing. It is my dad's birthday this evening, so apparently that's what we're doing. Brontë, welcome in. Yes, Apple Orchards. I have the book. Well, one of my copies of the book. I have at least two copies because I have one paperback and one hardback because they're the proof copies to make sure that we're printed correctly. Um, which I have opinions on, but we won't get into my scathing review of the printing process right now. But I'm going to be doing the scene, and the goal with this, I'm not sure if this will be something that I show for multiple streams. It would take that long. These sort of projects do tend to take that long, where I could use it for multiple streams. But basically, the goal of this was to give you guys an opportunity to kind of see how I work on an animatic and kind of what that looks like. Because my goal would be for this to be like a full animatic scene that can go up on YouTube as a regular video, just like one of my other animatics. But I think it'd be fun to stream the process because I've had a lot of people ask me about, kind of what the animatic process is, and I feel like I do a very poor job of explaining my process. So I don't know. Hopefully this will be fun. We'll see if I can do this for more streams. But all that to say, I am planning to do the scene in. I should know what chapter this is off the top of my head, but I actually don't. I want to say that it's 3 or 4, but I could be wrong, so don't trust me. You can't expect me to remember how my own book goes. Should be chapter 3. There we go. So chapter 3, because I wanted to do something that wasn't going to contain any spoilers. Obviously, this is chapter 3. It's right at the beginning. And so I wanted to do this little scene of basically Bronte's introduction, because I thought that would be fun. So we'll see how that goes. Say happy birthday to your dad for us all. I will let him know. He's turning 63. 63 this year. And I got him a very cute hat that I think he's gonna like. I say he, but my entire family, especially my mom, but my entire family, our like holiday and Christmas tradition was always watching the Peanuts gang like cartoons. Like that was our big thing that we always did. Um, so we're all really sentimentally attached to the Peanuts gang. So my dad had this hat that was Snoopy on top of his little red doghouse, and he's like laying down sleeping. He's on his back up on top of the doghouse because that's what he always does. And it said, "Nope, not today." That was that was the caption on the hat. My dad loved that hat, and then he was out on the lake with some friends on their boat and lost his hat in the lake. They couldn't find it. So I got him a replacement hat. I found the exact same hat after a bunch of searching, so hopefully he'll like that. Okay. Let's get the tablet ready. Hello, Babel. Welcome in. I'm glad you could make it today. I'm feeling like this tablet is going to be kicking the bucket here pretty soon. I might need to swap to my other tablet. We'll see. Hopefully it gets there today just fine. Alright, so for right now, I'm just doing the basics of certain scenes that I want. Because if you're reading the book, or if you have read the book, you know kind of how this, well, I wouldn't expect you to memorize it the way that I have it memorized, of course, but if you read through it, you can kind of picture different scenes, for lack of a better word. So I'm going to be going through and I'm going to be deciding which parts of the written work I want to include in the visual. So I know what we've got, obviously, and I'll put some notes in here. Writing on a tablet, no matter what, it always feels uncomfortable. Am I the only person who feels this way? I write just fine on a pen, like with a pen, pencil, and on a pad of paper. I have fine handwriting, I hope. But on a tablet, it's impossible. So this is where we're starting, and this is how my notes are. They're very messy, but that's okay, because that's what the point of this is. This is just a draft to get the idea. Because I have this arrow going through, and that's a little eye symbol, which is just indicating that he is going to look that direction in this frame, but his position in the frame and like the angle that we're looking at him isn't going to change. So we're really just going to see him like probably take a step, so his body will move slightly, but he'll stay in that position. But he is his little, oh wait, he doesn't have two eyes. His little face is gonna go that way. So that's what that means. We can see I've done pretty much the similar thing here, where he's going to be going down the steps. That's going to be a static shot, so he's going to be moving through that environment rather than like something like this where he is kind of taking up the entire frame. He's going to be moving through the environment rather than the camera moving with him. That is going to be a statue. Don't worry about that. That's a statue, not another character. I'm keeping it pretty simple. You might, maybe, probably not, you might see Benjamin and Sybil, because canonically in the book they're next to him during this, when he kind of splits off, and basically they'd be over here. Very professional. They'd be walking that direction, and then he would have split off and come this way. That's a horrible arrow. Wow. He would have split off and come this way. So, let's see. Um, so far we're sticking pretty with it. I probably will. Well, I don't know. He probably will be moving through that scene. I don't think I'm gonna change that too much. I think for this might be the one. I'm just gonna put a little. That you can't tell what it is. There we go. So this one, I'm not really sure about this framing. I might have this because again, if you've read the book, there's like there's like a tree, professional artwork. And basically what would happen here is you'd be able to see Bronte's little foot sticking out. Like what is it, the Wicked Witch in Wizard of Oz when Dorothy's house lands on her? Just her little feet are sticking out. Random, but I'm getting back into pen paling and I'm preparing my first letter. That's so fun. I used to do so much pen pal writing when I was younger. I had a ton of fun doing that. That's great. The foot. A little leggy. Except I've drawn it there so that she looks like she's got like a heel as if she's got a shoe on. She's barefoot, but it's fine. We'll get there. Presents that hold emotional significance are the best. It's true. My sister and I always joke that in I'm the mean one, and for birthdays, for Christmas, for Father's Day, for Mother's Day, etc., I will always get like some sort of very thoughtful card, and I'll write, some sort of, very thoughtful message in it for my parents. That's just kind of what I always do. And my sister, meanwhile, will always go get like those silly joke cards that are like really cheesy. So my parents always know that a card from my sister is going to make them laugh, and a card from me is going to make them cry. It's just the understood rule in our family. But yes, okay, so let's put that back. Alright, and then Brontë. Again, I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this framing. I might change this, but for now it's just a draft. And basically, Brontë is going to be... He's not going to be able to see all of her, so she's probably like tucked up against the tree, and she's got, her little leggies because she's dozing off. She's obviously got her little dress. Going to a sleeping Brontë at this very moment. I love the scene so much. Like, can I just tell you that I love this scene so much because I went through several different versions of Bronte's introduction, and I think this was probably it was either probably my third or fourth version of how I would introduce her. And I'm so happy with it. I'm so pleased with it. Alright, so let's see. So we have the shot where we can kind of see her, and we can see Cyril obviously has to duck under that branch, and I want him to be holding his hat on his head when he leans forward. You can see I have more horrible notes here. So this is a very poorly drawn camera. It's like a little camera. And then I have A with an arrow, which for my notes means approaching. So he's supposed to be not only ducking down, which is what you can see there, but he's also approaching the camera because I need to show that he's moving forward. So that'll also probably include having this branch be animated to be moving away from the camera. So those are just little notes that I put in, since that's what the point of this board is. Let's see. I love thoughtful cards. The husband always does that too. Yeah, I'm on a speed run challenge every single time. See if I can make family members cry. And then there's my grandpa who gets like his wife, not my grandpa, his wife will get these really gorgeous like metal foil cards for Christmas that are just these beautiful, beautiful things with like the gilt envelopes and the whole thing, right? You know, she goes all out. And she'll write, you know, some sort of nice message in there. And then my grandpa will literally just sign his name at the end of it. So it's like a nice message about like, oh, hope your year was kind to you. Hope you're doing well. Really glad we could see you for Christmas. And then you can see the difference in her handwriting to my grandpa's, where and then it's just like grandpa. Okay, so that is going to be, I'm just gonna, a rare time where I'm actually labeling my layers. That's gonna be portion one, so you can go ahead and hide that. And now we get to work on the next. So let's see. I'm ending this with Cyril ducking under that branch. I think what I'd like to do, again, not sure how I'm going to keep this, but and I have to think about how she's going to be posed here. The trees aren't huge either, so they're old trees, but they're not massive. So let's say that she's got this tree behind her. Let's see. You can't see me, but I'm holding up my own arm to kind of figure out how I want her arm posed. Because I know she's got this arm probably coming out, and she's kind of got her head resting on her hand. And then I know the other one she's going to have on top, because she's kind of holding her book that she did not get very far reading, but she tried, and we love that for her. And I think she ended up kind of and then she's got her little dress on. Chat full of sentimental people. I would put all of you to shame. I'm so sentimental. But I'm glad to be amongst my own kin. I do the same with the poses when I draw out and think of a scenario. Yeah, I can picture, obviously because I wrote this scene out, I can picture it in my mind, but trying to decide which image that I can imagine, trying to decide which of those I want to actually put in a visual medium that I'm going to work on is not difficult. Difficult isn't quite the right word, but I don't know. Challenging. It's a process. Whatever word you kind of want to want to think of there. That's very messy, but I promise that I can make sense of this. This is why you guys don't normally see the like sketches when I am streaming. I usually try to, which you can probably tell from the thumbnails, I try to get something that is at least serviceable, like you can at least kind of tell what it is, because I think that's more fun for people when I stream, but you're getting to see the unfiltered sketch phase. She's having a very nice time, and Cyril's going to come ruin it. Oh wait, she's supposed to be blushing too. Hold on. It's a very important detail. Okay, perfect. Let's see. And I can probably... She doesn't have her apron on for this. Oh, but you know what I am forgetting? I always forget what kind of shoes I gave her, but... She's got her little shoes set aside. Okay, and then actually what I think I can do is I can copy this. I'm not sure if this is going to be the angle that I want for this, but let's see, a whole Cyril leg. Except he's got his... I can cheat. I can be lazy. There we go. He's got his cloak on, so you won't really be able to see very much of his legs. I mean, he's got his cassock on too, but... Actually, I could put that on just one board. One square of the board. But I'm going to add it to its own one, so... Oh yeah, you need to be able to see. There, pretend that's his cane. Because he'll basically... And here, his... Oh wait, no, his cassock is split, so his cassock's gonna be like this. And then the cloak goes over that. And so basically he would... I'm gonna put this in white so it's easier to see. He would... come in, and then he would turn around and face her, and I am sure he's gonna stand with his cane right there, because that's typically what he does. And he's gonna stomp it, because he's annoyed. The process from start to finish is also extremely entertaining. Good, I'm glad. It's definitely very chaotic when it's in these really early stages. My favorite thing to do is shading, so which is also kind of coloring if I decide to color things. but I hate lining. I hate lining so much. But lining is usually the thing that takes me the longest, so if I'm going to stream something, it normally ends up being the lining process, at least a little bit. Okay, let's see. So that's, I think, everything I'm going to do with that shot of her. And she's going to be really cute, and it's going to be adorable. I have to decide what angle I want to be looking at Cyril from, because I would like to do maybe, let's say that there's branches up here. That's too small. Say that there's branches, etc. Like, I want this to be a pretty full canopy. I'm definitely going to need to 3D model a lot of this stuff out so that I can get all the angles and everything correct. But for now, totally fine. This animatic will probably be grayscale. I don't imagine that I would do otherwise. I pretty much always stick to grayscale. But when I do grayscale, I always have certain colors that are still in full color, like gold, for example. Obviously red for the apples will all be red. And I think the other thing that I'll probably do is, because this is early in the morning, it's about 6 o'clock, I'll see if I can do some nice little sunrise colors, because I think that'd be pretty. So I think, I'm not sure if I want to do this angle, mostly because this angle would be kind of hard, but we'll see. But basically this angle would be like looking up at Cyril, kind of as if you're down at Bronte's perspective, and you're like, no, you know what, I'm not going to do that. I just remembered. I'm not going to do that because we're going to see that angle once he actually wakes her up. Okay, so what do I want to do? I'll hide that for now. Not sure if I like this angle for his head either, because I want him to. No, I don't like this, because I think I want it to be enough where you can see his arms, because he's gonna bring his. This is part of the struggle with visual storytelling. I can't rely, especially because this isn't going to be voice acted. I don't have anyone to voice act this, so this is going to be silent. I'll probably try to put, what's it called? Sound effects. I'll try to probably put sound effects on it, so things like footsteps and birds chirping and that sort of thing. I think that would be fun, but I can very easily license sounds for that for like a couple bucks, so it's not a big deal. But I cannot pay voice actors to just voice this little scene. So it's just going to be subtitles. But because there's no voice acting, something like Cyril clearing his throat, which is what he does do to try and wake her up the first time, I don't have an audio clip to use to convey that. So I'm going to have to use him bringing up his fist like in front of his mouth and moving his shoulders to insinuate that he is clearing his throat in a visual medium. So for that, to that end, I need to have his shoulders and at least some of his arms showing. So I don't think I want to do another straight on shot because I've already got one of those. So I'm going to probably do like a 3/4 shot of some kind. Once I've got more panels drawn out, I can see what I feel there is too much of or not enough of something. I tend to stick to, well, not stick to, but I tend to default towards like centered and direct, like head-on angles for things. So I'm trying to avoid doing that so things don't feel stiff, but we'll see. Because he's gonna have his little cane that he's resting his hands on. Okay. Hello, this looks super cool already. Thank you so much. Welcome in. Nice to meet you. How do you 3D model? So I've got a couple of different programs. I've got CSP, which has a 3D modeling software built into it. I don't use that one as much, but I do have it. I use DesignDoll, which is mostly for humans, but it also can just do boxes. So you can use it to kind of create vanishing points and planes that you can then add things into. That's mostly what I use it for. And beyond that, I do have Blender as well. I don't usually go to the problem, my word. I don't usually go to the trouble. I don't usually go to the trouble of fully rendering like 3D models in Blender to then bring over. I am trying to work on that, and I would like to do more of that. It's not something that I've dedicated a lot of time to. It is in my goal later to, I say later, how vague, this year, ideally. Maybe not with the way things are kind of going recently, but maybe. Trying to do more concept art that is based off of like a 3D model that I build first, because I'd like to, for example, if I can build some sort of like 3D cathedral asset, then I can have a camera that moves through that and then do 2D characters over top of that. And I think that'd be a really fun thing to do for animatics. That's all big plans that require a lot of time and investment and practice from me. So I can't make any big promises, but that is a goal. But for now, mostly CSP and DesignDoll. Oh, you know, there's another note that I should add here. Give him his little ponytail. I'm kidding, his hair doesn't look like that if you're not familiar. I want to just add this as a note so I don't forget. It's cold. The only reason I bring that up is because Cyril, when he breathes, because he is a bona fide certified human, he gets little puffs because it's cold out. Which, this is not a detail that I would expect people to catch or care about, but I care about it. So I'm going to show him breathing so that you can see that he's got the puff of air. But when Brontë is breathing, she doesn't get any little puffs because her breath isn't hotter than the air around her because she's a little vampire, and we love that for her. So I just have to remember that. All right. And I think for this one, nope, that's his clothes. Okay, there we go. This one is going to be a couple of different things because I will have him. First of all, he'll be breathing, so his shoulders are going to kind of be moving. So I'll put a quick note there because I want to remember that his shoulders need to be moving. That's really all that you can see of him. But then I'll probably have him tilt his head to look at her. I'm going to do this on another layer. So I'm going to be tilting his head. So he's going to, the angle of his hat mostly is going to change a little bit. But the angle of his head will, that's a very dramatic tilt. It's not going to be that intense for the final product, but just so I have an idea, we'll make it like, there we go. Okay, he's going to do that, and then for this, he will probably get rid of this for now. He's going to tilt his head down, and he's going to bring, well, Cyril, you're not right-handed or left-handed, so I don't have like a hand preference. He kind of does have a hand preference, but yeah, okay, fine. Fine, I'll do the difficult arm because he'd use his left. Ugh, okay, fine. It'd be easier if I did the other arm, but he wouldn't. Oh well. All right, I forgot to do my my usual thing I always do. Cyril always wears his pair of black gloves, so I pretty much always make his hands just black blobs when I sketch him. Sorry, Cyril, I forgot to do that for you. Alright. You're going to be able to see his cassock, so you can see this little bit poking out when he raises his arm. Oh, yeah, I think you'd be able to see like inside his cloak entirely because of him lifting his arm, actually. So it'd be more like you can see the cassock, and then you can see. So let's see, where's his body? It'd be here, so you'd be still, yeah, you'd be able to see a little bit of the sash. So I have to make sure I include that, and that's just the inside of the cloak. So it's going to be a little bit darker. Make a puff of hair in the shape of a cat. Here, how about this? Because I need to. Not that I wouldn't be able to tell what I mean by this, but. Oh, it's too big. Hold on. That's not. That's not how you make an H. Ahem. It's not what he sounds like when he clears his throat, but. His hat looks like a little foxy. I am so bad at drawing that hat, but I love it so much. Thought it was more like a tricorn or a musketeer's hat. So it is folded similar to that. Oh god, let me see if I can actually draw. Because okay, we've got and then their little noggin goes in there. So these little wingy bits, these are folded. So it would catch water the way that a tricorn would, which is the point of them. The water would just go off the back and the front there. Or you could hit Cyril in the face and his hat would go flying off. Which technically does happen. But you have to read far enough to get to that. But yes. So it is folded, a little bit like a tricorn, but it doesn't have... There's these little wings in the back aren't connected. They kind of just fold down into like the back of the hat. It's my very scientific explanation of how his hat works. My hat has 3 corners. 3 corners has my hat. If it's not 3 corners, then it would not be my hat. That's delightful. So I guess Cyril's would be a bicorn instead of a tricorn. Flowy sleeves are one of my favorite things in design. I specifically so tangent time. Because the hunters, wow, okay, let me try to say this in a way that doesn't make me sound insane. I really love historical fashion, and I really love when garments make sense, you know, at least to a point. You know, if it's fantasy, I want there to be these fun, fantastical costumes, and I want there to be these really fun things. But you know, to a point, I want there to also be a sense of realism, just because I like that. It's so much fun for me because I love historical fashion. So one of the things that I did with the church's uniform is Cyril is a hunter, so his cassock, and I'm gonna draw it without the capelet, but he does have like a little capelet that goes over the top, but he can remove that. It's detachable. But so like let's see, we've got his sleeve. There's his body, buttons, blah blah blah. So his sleeve, because he's a hunter, is fitted because it would be impractical for hunters who are in combat. Give him a gnarly little claw. Oh god, what is that? Anyways, it looks like a bird. Anyways, so he's got a fitted sleeve cuff because that just makes logical sense for what they're doing. They don't want their sleeves to be slagging. Sneeves to be slagging? Oh, my word. They don't want their sleeves to be snagging on things. It's a safety risk when they're in combat, yada yada yada. But I love blousey sleeves so much that I specifically gave Cyril a different shirt that he wears when he's not wearing his full cassock, because I cannot be left to my own devices. I have to put him in, you know, the typical fantasy shirt. Like, I'm sorry, it's just the law. He's gotta be able to have the blousey sleeves. It's my very professional drawing of Cyril with whatever is going on there. Here, Cyril, sorry, I will give you your glove. That looks even worse. Okay, anyways. Okay. So he clears his throat, and then she doesn't wake up. I think it'd be funny. Yeah, I think it would be funny. Okay, so we're gonna go back here. Not the full thing, but... She's just chilling. She's having a lovely time. I'm gonna crop that though. Cool. So he clears his throat, She doesn't wake up. Lilith, welcome in. How are you today? No, it's a paper airplane, huh? Oh, actually, you know what I I said, oh, Cyril gets hit in the face and his hat goes flying off. But you have to read far enough to get to where that happens. You actually don't. That happens well, he doesn't get hit in the face, but that technically happens in the same chapter that I'm illustrating. I forgot. Yeah, he gets his hat knocked off and Bronte has to catch it for him. I I don't think Otter is in the chat today, but I was talking to Otter and they were reading in like the first couple of chapters, so like within like chapters 1, 2, 3, etc. And I didn't realize this, but they sent me a message saying like everybody in this book is throwing their books everywhere. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? I realized that on the train, Cyril is reading a book of poetry and he kind of tosses it aside and he gets up. And then in this scene that I'm illustrating, when Bronte wakes up and she's startled by Cyril, she just chucks her book to hide it. She just chucks it behind the tree, like, act natural. I promise Cyril is not constantly getting his hat knocked off and is not constantly throwing books around. You have the most gorgeous laugh. Well, that's quite a compliment. Thank you very much. I wouldn't blame Bronte not waking up. I like napping. Listen, we all just want to have a nice cozy nap. I mean, it's freezing outside, but she doesn't mind. Okay, so I think we'll have that. We'll cut back to her, and we'll be closer up, and we'll see that she's snoozing, having a lovely time, and then okay, I'm going to. This one we can be close on Cyril's face because I want to capture his facial expression. I don't really care about what the rest of his body is doing. Oh man, it's gonna be. I love his hat, but his hat also hides his face, so I have to think about how I'm gonna do this. How about this will have to be a little bit of an exaggerated motion because of his hat in order for the viewer to see it, but that's okay. Okay, and then basically the shot is going to go back to his face, and then this will need to be, again, somewhat exaggerated, but I think I'll tilt his head up a little bit, because that might help get a better angle that goes under his hat. No, it just looks like he's looking at the camera. He's not going to be looking at the camera. He's rolling that eye, which is something he does often. But so he's going to be he's going to be rolling his eye. in exasperation. He's not gonna, look into the camera and break the fourth wall. I don't know how to draw other than one eye. It's hard to draw a man's eye anyway. The amount of times where if I'm in the office for work or anything, I'll just draw eyes over and over. I think it's the universal artist experience. You just draw eyes over and over. Quite ironic the way characters in the book can't peacefully read their books. Brontë almost mostly snoozes on her reads. She tries so hard. Bronte's like me, like, oh yeah, I can fit a chapter in before bed, and then I immediately pass out. Evan, you asked about the Discord server. Yes, thank you so much. Ah, my goodness, I'm very frazzled this week, so I apologize for that. I've had a exhausting week and a terrible weekend so far, so this is making it much better, but I am a bit out of it. I do have a Discord. I created a Discord specifically for this, so I could share it today. Let me put the link in the chat. Give me just a moment. Babel, I can see that you're messaging me saying, hey, don't forget about the Discord server. Thank you. I went to all the trouble of making it. I was going to forget it. Okay, let me create an invite. Alright, let me see. Link expires in 7 days. That's fine. I'll create a permanent link later because I plan to put a link to the Discord in. Excuse me. I plan to put a link to the Discord maybe on my website, maybe in a couple of other places, but I'm definitely going to be putting it in the YouTube community tab. So if for any reason you aren't able to join during stream, maybe if you're watching the stream back later, there should be a permanent link in the community tab. I just said what it was and I forgot again. All right, let's see here. There we go. There is the Discord link. You should be able to hop in. There's a terms and conditions, rules for the Discord, so please make sure you do read those. Once you read those, you can accept, and you'll be granted access to the rest of the Discord. Okay, so he's going to be rolling his eye. And then I think what I want to do, I don't know how zoomed I want this shot to be, but basically she's got her little dress, and she's going to have a cute little petticoat under it because I just think that's adorable. And again, I'm not really sure. Coffee or tea? I like both. I really like both. But I think I have to go with coffee. I don't know, I really like tea too. And matcha counts as tea, right? Even though I usually have it as a latte, which a latte just means it's made with milk. But it's still tea. I don't know. I like both, but I probably would go with coffee. I get a coffee subscription because I'm that obsessed with coffee. Welcome to the Discord. I hope you have fun. Again, I am not a big creator, so I can't really offer a massive community, but hopefully you guys have fun, and hopefully we can bring more people in and build a little place. Oh, I think would be fun, and I'll have to... Oh my goodness, I keep doing that. I'm going to have to go back and leave notes to do this. Okay, but that's his cane. I think it'd be fun if Cyril kind of casts like a shadow over her. I think that'd be fun. Not sure if I'll keep that. That'll be a pretty subtle lighting thing that I can do kind of at the very end, but that could be fun. Okay, then for see, I might want to. I'm not sure. I'm gonna leave it for now because I know what it's meant to show. Because he's gonna swat her foot to wake her up. Gently. I promise he's doing it gently. But I don't know if I'm going to have it be that zoomed in or if I'm going to have it be a little bit zoomed out so you can see that he actually like picks up his cane, he like has to turn it over and hit sounds mean, but hit her foot with it. And then I think it would be really cute if we can kind of picture it. It's not going to be perfect, but I think it would be fun, potentially, if we can kind of... Because for these scenes where they're kind of looking at one another, like obviously we're going to do, like I mentioned earlier, a scene of Cyril where the angle is quite low, so we're looking up at him. And I think that'll be good for when Brontë wakes up. And so for this one, I think it'd be fun if we see it kind of from Cyril's point of view. So she's got her... That's the worst forearm I've ever drawn. There we go. Slightly better. She's got that hand resting. And then... basically... Well, start it. I think she has the left leg over the right. Yeah, she does. So she'll start. forget the book. That's the tree that she's leaning against. I don't think her shoes would be able to be seen, but her shoes are over there. And then do a little silly wiggly mouth, because for this next one, I want her to kind of bring this arm up a little bit further, so she kind of, come on, so she kind of wipes her eyes as she's waking up. And then she curls her legs up a little bit. She should be able to see. I'll have to make sure that the folds of her dress make that pretty obvious. But I'm sure I can do that later. So detail we'll worry about later. There's a huge 900-year-old cathedral in the nearest city to me. I think we're going into town during half term. I feel like you'll love it, so I'll try to get photos for you to share on the server. Yes, please. Oh, please do. That would be wonderful to see. Tea personally, especially hibiscus and raspberry. I've never had hibiscus, my goodness. His biscuits. I've never had his biscuits, but I've had raspberry. There is a summer tea that one of the little local shops near me does that is very, very good. I think it's like a raspberry melon something. I didn't expect to like it, but it was actually very, very good. But then I realized it was only a summer seasonal tea that they offer, so now I have to wait for them to bring it back. Okay, so he's gonna roll his eyes, wakes her up, she rubs her eyes, and then I think it'd be fun if we do like that'll be her. I'm not sure if she, well, it would be I guess it would be facing. I don't know. I'll figure out kind of what position her hand is in later. But basically, I think it'd be fun. Poor thing. She's like, what the hell? Who's bothering me? Her lips aren't gonna look like that in the final, but this is my character's subjected to whatever I put them through when it's storyboarding phase. But she's gonna go from that to am I gonna have it be? Yeah, so we're gonna pull this away. Goes from very slowly waking up to, oh no, very quick. Find my mood questionable today, either tired or zoomies. Sometimes it is that way. Blueberry tea rocks, but I want to try strawberry tea. There are a couple of boba places near me that do a really yummy strawberry tea. It's not usually my first choice. I'm usually more of a peach tea person, but strawberry is very good. It's just sometimes a little bit too sweet for me. His biscuits must be the best. Working overtime at the biscuit factory. Have to find strawberry tea. Also really like strawberry themed type stuff. So getting over it. Panic meme, but her, truly. And now I have to decide how I want to frame her standing up, because she jumps up. She's very quick to get on her feet when she realizes it's Cyril. Wait, no, that's right. Because I have to do her waking up, kind of realizing. This is why I think it would be really funny to have kind of this. Oh, I can just do it this way. Hold on. That's not straight at all. That's not much better, but that's okay. That's why I thought it would be funny to have this like looming shadow over her. And then for this is where we'll kind of see. This is where I need the kind of 3D space to be more mapped out. So like there would be, if I was using Design Doll, for example, I would basically create a grid that would kind of act. Oh my goodness, I can speak. That would act kind of as a ceiling to give me an idea of where I need to align things. And then that quote-unquote ceiling would have, would have the foliage, because they're in the apple orchard. I think it'd be nice to have some sunrise colors, because it's going to be grayscale, but some sunrise colors would be pretty. I don't think I'll go completely ham and put, I mean, you definitely would be able to see it, but like I'm not going to put like the steeples and like the whole church and everything back there. I don't know, maybe I will. We'll see how detailed I want to be on this once it's getting closer to completion. But Cyril is supposed to be kind of, that makes it look like he's smiling, and he's not going to be smiling for this. Because he's still going to have his cane, so he's going to have that in that hand. Oh, and I didn't draw in the other frames, but his cloak has a pelt on it for extra warmth, so he's all fluffy up here. That comes down kind of in front a little bit. I have a sweet tooth, so it shouldn't be too sweet for me. It sounds like it would be right up your alley then, for sure. It's like I kind of miss the tea coffee talk. No, not at all. As a Brit, there we go. Love a good Earl Grey, for sure. Pretty much any biscuit. Also, coffee makes you sleepy and gives you a headache. Oh my goodness, that's so interesting. I've known a few people like that, where it basically does the opposite of what it does for me. If I have a headache or not so much the energy. I'm not particularly sensitive to caffeine. If I have caffeine right before bed, yeah, I'm gonna be kept awake. but I don't get jitters or extra energy very much from caffeine. But it does help with some headaches sometimes. Depends on the type of headache that I have. Like, I actually haven't had any coffee yet this morning. I have some. I could make some, but I don't feel like making it right now. Well, actually, I was torn between coffee or tea, and then I just didn't make anything, and now I'm nice and toasty warm, so I don't want a hot drink, because then I'll get too hot. Coffee makes you sleepy too? Wow, that's so interesting. Vanilla chai tea is good too. Vanilla chai is yummy. Earl Grey is the classic for sure. Whenever I'm with my grandma, that's what she always likes. I've got a selection of teas. I've got a couple of black teas. I have peppermint. So pretty much every single night, I always have a cup of peppermint tea. That's just my preference. But I also have this, I think it's vanilla nutmeg that doesn't have any caffeine. And if I'm not in the mood for peppermint tea a particular evening, then it's a good second option. Okay, that's gonna need to be more dramatic, I think, because he's like looming over her. But there we go. I'll just put like a little note for now. Okay, so now I have to figure out how we're going to frame her kind of jumping up to her feet. Because I thought it might be fun to have basically him standing here, right? So this is him. He's probably resting his hand like on his cane now, instead of like really holding it up. And I thought it would be funny if she just kind of pops up into the frame. So it would be more like, well, actually, no, what it would really be like. This poor man, he's got neck problems because of her. Oops. There we go. So it'd be more like this. And then she suddenly just leaps up into the frame. Like with all of her skirts going everywhere. a little veil. I don't know if I'm gonna make it this cartoonish. I think it would be funny, but I'll kind of see what vibe I want overall from the animatic to see how serious or how silly I'm going to make certain shots. Because basically she just pops up. Bye, Heaven. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you had fun. Have a good day at college tomorrow. Best of luck. I was given some peach tea at one point and it was pretty good. Yeah, there's a really nice boba shop that has a nice peach tea that isn't too sweet, and they let you carbonate it, which I really, really like. So that's probably like one of my go-to summer drinks for sure. And then one thing I know that I want for sure is she absolutely chucks her book. I thought it'd be funny to, let's see, this one could be, this one's probably going to take up a good few frames of the storyboard, so this will kind of be from Cyril's point of view, sort of, where basically we're kind of looking down at her, see she's got a dress and such. And then she'll have her book. Her poor book that puts up with so much abuse. Oh, you know what? I think it'd be nice if she was holding it kind of in both hands. She's got little ears. I promise she's got little ears. And this is probably going to be one of those that has to take up several little blocks. So this would be more for... I guess she should probably be more centered, but I can worry about that later. Because basically this would be her looking up at him. And then a smaller brush. And then she would look down at her book. She would probably lift up a little bit because I want it to be clear that she's thinking about the book, so I want her to be looking at it. Move her head a little bit further down, but that's fine for what we need right now. Realizing she's got a very embarrassing book in her hands. She's got neck problems because of him too. Yeah, she has to look up, way up at him, and he tends to stand pretty close. Which is very inconsiderate of him, all things considered. She just chucks it, and then one of the things that I thought would be funny is, and it's gonna be hard. Oh gosh, Cyril, why do you have to wear your hat during this? Okay, so let's see. So Cyril would be gosh. Okay, so let's see here. I'm not sure if I'm going to be this zoomed in for him or if I'm going to... Come on. I'm going to zoom it out just a little bit, but it's got a little fluff that I forgot to add, so I'm making sure to add that this time. Now we're in official eye patch territory where we have to draw on the fact that he only has that one. I guess I'll give him some ears. I suppose he's earned it. But then the point with this would be, and this would be something that I'd actually, I say actually animate, it would still be animatic level of animation, but I would probably, I don't know, I think I'll keep it for 2, I call them frames, that's not the correct wording, but, because basically all this is his eye will move to follow the book. As it flies off, and then I'll probably adjust the angle of his head a little bit to make it more obvious that he's coming back to, oops, to make it more obvious that he's coming back to look at her. looks very unimpressed. She's so adorable. I want to meet Brontë. Me too. Me too. I want to give her a hug. It's everyone's favorite color. Mine is blue. Mine is also blue. I love all colors, but lately been very into red. It's hard for me to pick a favorite color, but at the same time, I gave Cyril his hair color because it's my favorite color. So mine would have to be teal. It remains my favorite color. I like lots of colors, but teal just, it remains a favorite. Okay, and then this, I think it would be fun to because now she's going to be standing in front of him. Do I want to do, well, okay, so I could do basically this, let's see. I could do this same shot again where she's standing in front of him. Or I could do a shot where we can see I'm not sure if I want to spend that much time on it because I still want to animate other parts. Because I know I want to do when she stands in front of Cyril, and this is from the book too. When she stands in front of Cyril, she tries to make herself look somewhat presentable by standing properly, so like her feet are together, her head is up, etc. You know, she's trying to look presentable in front of him, even though there's no way that's going to happen considering the state that she was found in. But when she does that, she keeps trying to puff hair out of her face. So I know I want that because that's going to be really fun to animate, her trying to like puff air out of her mouth to try and get the flyaway hairs to go back, which is not going to work. But before that, I have to decide if I want that extra buffer frame in there to show I don't know, I think I'll stick with him standing. I'll have his cane. I always have to look at references for how tall his cane needs to be in comparison to him because I never remember, but I don't have that in front of me right now, so that's okay. Your head doesn't need to be that far forward. You can come back a little bit. So there, skirts will be all, well, somewhat orderly, and she'll have her hands kind of folded in front of her, like that. She's definitely sweating. Okay. And then I don't know if I will keep that, but it gets the idea for now. So that's just the... What is this? Nothing. Okay, so I can get rid of that. Alright. And then she is going to be... And then this is where the animatic is going to change a little bit because it is no longer going to be just visuals. So it's not just going to be the visual storytelling. There's going to start being dialogue here soon. So Brontë, a little bit of Bronte's hair pretty much always shows. She usually just parts it down the middle because boring Brontë facts that you probably don't really care about, but I have a lot of fun with them. The way that she's got her hair kind of beneath her veil is she's got it parted down the middle. So kind of parted on either side. And then she does little pigtail braids because her hair is actually quite long. She does little pigtail braids, and then she takes the pigtail and she wraps it kind of around her head. So that little pigtail gets kind of wrapped around. Same thing on the other side, another pigtail, and that gets wrapped around. All of that gets put under a cap, and her veil gets attached to that, which is another little historical fashion thing that I just find very fun. Not that it really matters, but I have fun with it. Though saying that, actually, I think, yeah, I did have to cut that scene. So there was a scene. I don't know if I'm gonna reuse it. Is the thing, because I had to cut a lot of material out of Volume 1 to bring the word count down and to make it a little bit more focused. There's a lot of content that was cut, and most of it can be repurposed. But I don't know. There's a couple scenes where relationships have changed, so I don't really know if they would particularly fit anymore, so on and so forth. So I don't know. I don't think I'll use this scene, so I can go ahead and talk about it. But basically, there was a scene that was cut that was really cute. I thought it was really fun. It didn't end up being important enough to keep. But basically, there was a scene where, and we're gonna give her like a little flyaway over on this side. But basically, there was a scene with Brontë trying to fix her hair because it had come undone underneath her cap. So she was outside. I think I put her in like the bakery courtyard, and she was trying to fix her hair real quick while nobody was looking because she's, not technically, like, she doesn't get in trouble if her hair is showing, but it's just, it's a little bit like, oh, how indecent, that sort of thing, right? So she was trying to fix it, put her cap back on, and get everything. And Philip ended up walking by because he was coming by to try to steal food the same way that he normally would. And let's see here. Let me try to get her. It's my brush size. That's not too bad. But Philip saw her hair and he just commented. He's like, I thought nuns were supposed to cut their hair so that their veils and their caps fit better. Bronte's like, you can take my hair out of my cold dead hands. I like my long hair. It was a very cute interaction. It didn't end up saying there was just too much that had to fit, but it was a really cute interaction, and I thought it was a fun little bit. I don't think they would still have that conversation now, so Bronte's become a little bit too serious for that by the end of book one, but all that to say, we are getting to the part of this where there's a speck on my screen. Hold on. Was it a speck or did I erase it? I think it was both. Okay, there we go. All right. Getting to the part where there's going to actually be dialogue, which is just going to be through subtitles. And then she's going to have to be like puffing air. I would have to look up her reference for how in the world I'm going to draw her mouth doing that. But she's going to be trying to puff air to get that little flyaway going away. Philip, my love. I love Philip so much. And welcome in, Otter. How are you? She's the dearest. We just love her so much. Okay, now I need to actually open up the book and check, because I know Cyril shushes her, and I think he puts his finger up to his mouth to do that, but she talks first. Which is technically not proper manners. She should wait to be addressed. But it's fine. We give her a pass on that. And I'm sure Cyril does too. Okay, yeah. So she starts talking first. And yeah, he doesn't say anything. Okay, yeah, so he doesn't say anything before this, so she's just puffing her hair out of her face, and then she kind of immediately, I'm gonna just do a duplicate here, and then she pretty much immediately, whoops, starts talking to him. So we can grab that. Come on. There we go. Probably to differentiate, I will tilt her head just a little bit. Obviously, this is going to be animated, so she'll be, well, animaticed, however you want to say that. So she will be moving her mouth. That'll all be animated, so she'll have her dialogue piece that she says. And no, have you read this scene yet? Have you read the one that I'm animating, or have you read the one that I was talking about with Philip? Because the scene with Philip was cut from the first manuscript, which is why I was talking about it. Because it was just a cute little scene where she had her hair showing. But this scene that I'm animating, you've definitely read, because this is like chapter 3 of the book. So yeah, you definitely read this. I wanted to pick something that was right at the start of the book, so there wouldn't be any risk of spoilers. All Okay, so then she's gonna have her dialogue, which I believe she only gets one line of dialogue before Cyril politely tells her to stop talking. So, and I think what I'm going to do, and this is something that you do in film too, and I'm going to be doing it here as well. Basically, what is going to happen is that she is going to be talking, like her little words, and her words are going to carry over to this frame. That's a horrible arrow. Her words are going to carry over to this frame, even though in this frame we are going to see Cyril, who is going to be looking down at her. The frames get a little less complicated when you have two characters who are just dialoguing with one another because the focus is on what they're saying, especially when this is, again, just an animatic, so there isn't going to be voice acting, it's going to be subtitles. When there are subtitles on the screen, I don't want people to feel like they're going to miss out something that's super visually interesting because they need to read the subtitles. And I don't want to distract from the subtitles with something super visually interesting either. So there's going to be simplified frames for this where it's literally just basically shots of their faces. He doesn't say anything yet, so his mouth isn't going to be open or anything like that. Basically, he is just going to be listening to her talk. I'm probably going to have him like slow blink like a cat. Man is tired. It's everyone's favorite candy from Valentine's Day. Oh, those little candy heart with writing. I remember those. Yeah, we used to always get those at school when we did like little Valentine's Day exchanges. Oh, good. Yes, no spoilers. I wanted to keep it nice and spoiler free. I thought this would just be a fun scene to do an animatic of, because I'd like to do little shorter bits of, again, non-spoilery things that I think would be fun. And I'm really, really fond of this scene. I went through several different versions of Bronte's introduction, and this ended up being my favorite one, and it's the one that got to stay. So I'm very partial to this scene. Favorite Valentine's Day candy: anything chocolate or sweet tarts. For a second, I thought his hat was angry eyebrows before he fell. Honestly, he's got angry eyebrows though, so it wouldn't be inaccurate. Favorite Valentine's Day candy. Let me see. And I do need to copy this. She's going to be talking, and then this is also going to be a little bit more slowly animated. Oops. Favorite Valentine's Day candy. I mean, which hand would he be doing this with? Wait, no, I forgot something. Oh no, no. Hang on. Yes, I did forget something. Oh, I went out of order. Okay, I'll need to fix that. I'll finish this little frame and then I'll go back and fix my mistake. So, yeah, he's going to be using his right hand for this. It's just going to be holding his finger up to his mouth. Give him his little ring. You can kind of see where his little pinky... Oh, he doesn't have a thumb, really, does he? There we go, now he has a thumb. Josh. I don't really know how to say this, but does Cyril have one of those resting bitch faces? Yes, he does. He definitely does. He's got angry eyebrows. It's just kind of his default expression. I don't know. Will YouTube get mad at me if I say that word? I don't know. I generally try not to curse because I don't want YouTube to demonetize me. I don't earn money from YouTube at this point, obviously. I don't, but I don't want them to like strike against my account or something. I don't earn money, but don't take away my money. um, but okay, let's see. Okay, so yes, I made a mistake. I need to include something else here first because I think she puffs her hair out of her face after. Yes, okay, so this whole thing needs to get pushed back, so I might just be able to put in an extra layer here. The wheels in your brain are always turning. You're really thinking about every single detail. I like the dedication. Thank you. I try really hard. I was talking to a friend. I forget how many days ago it was. And what were we talking? I forget what we were talking about where we brought it up, but we were talking about attention to detail and things of that nature. And there's a scene, I think it happens rather late in the book, so I don't think I'm gonna specify what the scene is. Yeah, I think it is pretty late in the book. But anyways, just to give you an idea, I had a scene, I'm gonna try to make it as vague as possible so that it still makes sense, but I have a character who says something to another character that is not bad, but it is like a little bit improper of them to say, right? So it's not outright bad, but it is improper. You know, it's not really good manners. It's kind of, you know, a little bit spicy. They say something a little bit spicy. And I knew that the character who was going to say the spicy thing wouldn't say that if there were lay folk around to hear it, right? So they wouldn't say the spicy thing, their spicy opinion. They wouldn't say their spicy opinion about Cyril if there was really anyone around to hear it that they were worried about. Even though they definitely have that opinion and they're usually fine with saying it, they kind of know when to keep their mouth shut. And so what I had to do is I had to specifically handle that scene so that the person who I needed to hear that opinion was still there, but all of the people that person, that other character, had come with and was hanging out with, I needed to get those layfolk, quote unquote, I needed to get those layfolk away first so that I could justify the character with the snarky opinion saying it, because I knew they wouldn't say it in front of the other characters. You probably won't notice that if you're actually reading the scene if you get that far, but I noticed it. And those are all the sorts of things that I have to worry about when I'm writing it. Anyways, let me go ahead and fix my mistake. So I think what I need to do is I am going to, let's see, so for this previous one I have, she throws, okay, so I can either keep this, when I say this, let me show you what I'm talking about. So I'm talking about this here. So all of this is correct. So she stands up, she's got her book, she's embarrassed, she chucks that book. Cyril watches the book fly off, and then he comes back to looking at her again. And I think I'll keep that. I think I don't need to remove that. So we can keep, I think it's going to be this one here. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so I'm going to keep this. And I'm going to put it here because I might use this, because I might shuffle these all by one and then put this one up here. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that yet, but I'll just leave it there for now. And then I'm going to put another 6 frames in between, because I think that should be enough. Because I forgot the most important thing. Brontë kneels to kiss Cyril's hand because that's the proper greeting to be giving the Archbishop. So she does that first before she starts talking. So let me figure out how I'm going to do that, because basically she would be starting from here. You know what? I think I will actually take another one. So if we're going kind of by what the book says, she kind of is like, whoa. She goes, whoa. And kind of remembers her manners. So then I think to kind of, well, no, that can stay. And to show this, could have them. See, this is what I default to. I default to these like straight on shots. I don't know if I'll keep these because this is kind of what I worry about with things feeling stiff. But for now, I'm just kind of sorting out the movements, and I will sort out camera angles and things like that later. Because, for example, I think that it would probably be better and it would probably feel more interesting. Because, again, this is something where there's no dialogue happening yet, so it's just what's on screen. But, you know, as an example, you know, I could do something like, let's say that this is Cyril. This is the back of his head. He's got his hat on. You can see his little ponytail. You can see his little cape, etc. Versus having Brontë fighting for her life when she's woken up by him, and having like Cyril in the foreground, my goodness, would be blurred, and then she would be in focus, just to kind of give you guys an idea of alternative options that I will probably fiddle with as I continue development of this. I'm gonna just put that away. Instead of having this kind of, she goes, woo! So yeah, I don't know. We'll see if I want to do that to make some of the frames more interesting, because I am worried about situations where it feels really stiff, especially during these parts where there's very little dialogue happening to maintain interest as you watch. So we'll see. So she would be reaching for his hand and kind of like starting to kneel. Close enough. And she's gonna be when someone breathes, YouTube, how dare you? Yeah, pretty much. I often hear the F word in videos that are monetized. I think you're fine. Here's hoping. I don't know. I am not currently able to be monetized, but based off of what I've seen in terms of like my creator studio, when I look at things, I think it's possible I might be able to start monetizing videos sometime this year, just depending on how things go. I'm not really sure what that'll mean. I don't plan to do ads as much as possible. I don't like ads, and I don't want people to have to watch ads as much as possible, but if it gives people the option to do, what are they called? They're called something different here on YouTube. Super chats, I think is what they're called. And like joining the channel for like extra perks and extra videos, that sort of stuff, that's what I'm interested in unlocking. I don't care about ads. I don't want to run ads as much as I'm able. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. It's kind of all far in the future. I don't think that I'll really qualify for it because my most successful video is an animatic that is not copyrightable. So they might not be interested in allowing me to do any monetization, but we'll see. Writer's overthinking at its finest. At least it's justifiable by the amazing storytelling. Thank you so much. I do lots of overthinking, but hopefully it leads to an interesting and entertaining final product. And hopefully one that I don't know if Babel's here. I know she's kind of in and out, but I think Babel is on her third reread of the book, and she's still finding things that she missed the first couple of times. And that's one of my favorite things, is being able to go back and find little bits and pieces that you didn't catch the first time, because that's one of my favorite things to do with books I read. Camera pans behind Cyril, showing how tall and foreboding he is before she has to kneel and kiss the ring, for the added effect and the effort. Listen, she's fighting for her life. She's doing her best. She only has to kneel. She's only got to do one knee. It's not a confession, so she doesn't have to do both knees like she does for a confession. She can get up and down pretty quick. Getting her exercise for the day in. I'd probably zoom in for this on her hand, because Cyril will also motion with his hand after she's done that. So that's his hand. That's the worst hand I've ever drawn, but we're going to color it in so we can't see our shame. Because Cyril always wears gloves. He'll have his little cloak and such. I think her arm needs to be a little bit more forward than that. And then this, I have to kind of figure out how I want to have each of them move, because she obviously is kind of bringing her head closer to his hand, but he's also very familiar kind of with how this goes, so he's usually considerate enough to actually like move his arm for people. So I'm still noticing little things here and there. That's what I love to hear. I put lots of little bits in there for you guys to find, and many of them are little bits that are going to be for later books. So Godspeed. I noticed a few things myself when I restarted when I got my physical copy. Yeah. That is the hope. Okay, so I think I will take this one. And then her arm is going to be, I'm going to have to put a note for this. Basically, her arm will kind of come back down a little bit, and his arm will come back because he kind of pulls his hand away. And then this one. I would have to pull up a reference to do this nicely, but sorry, Cyril, I'm going to cut your hand off real quick. He basically turn his hand over, and because basically he just tells her to stand up. And if you can hear my stomach growling, I am so sorry. It feels very loud to me, but I never know. Bronte's not feeling too hot, but it's fine. Okay, so now I've corrected that mistake, so we're back to where we were before, which is... Oh, I've got this thing floating around. What is that? Oh, right, because I was gonna have... Yeah, that does need to be there. Okay, so whoops. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this needs to be there. Move that one over. Oh, that's just his hand. Sorry, Cyril. Okay, I'll move him over. Well, now the dialogue. Well, okay, whatever. I can tell. I'll add another note for that. That go all the way over here. So we know that basically the subtitles are still going to be on the screen. So this is what you would do if you had characters or actors who were actually on screen speaking and it was actual dialogue happening, audio dialogue happening. You would have the camera move back and forth. While you'd be basically looking at one character, you would still be hearing the other character's voice. And that's a method that you can use even when you have like one actor playing all of the same parts. It kind of helps trick your brain into thinking that there are multiple people involved. So you kind of do the same thing when you're just dealing with subtitles. So basically, Bronte's subtitles, as she's talking, are going to continue, and then she's obviously going to fade out and stop talking as he's like, hey, shut up. Except he wouldn't say that to her because I wouldn't let him say that. She gets something to eat. You know, breakfast before stream again. I don't usually eat breakfast. I don't know. If I do eat breakfast, I have it kind of late in the day, and I am usually streaming by the time I start getting hungry, but that's okay. I will have a magnificent lunch, probably. I am not sure what I'm getting for lunch yet, though. I'm not sure. We'll see. I'll order some lunch after stream. I think I've got, I'd say probably about half an hour left, give or take, and we'll kind of see how much of this board I can get done. Okay, so then we move to dialogue, so the frames are going to get a little bit more simplified. We're really just going to be looking at the characters' faces. Cyril says, shush. Okay, then what does he do after that? Let's see, because he told her to shush. I know he takes out his pocket watch, but I don't know if he takes it out before he starts talking or not. Okay, nope. So he starts talking before he takes out his pocket watch. So in that case, where's my... There it is. Actually, I want to take this one. Because... I'm going to tilt him a little bit. I don't need this note, though. Oops. That makes him look too happy. He's not supposed to be happy. He's always in a bad mood. There we go. Close enough. So now he's going to start talking. I'm not sure when it comes to subtitles. I'm not sure if I'm going to do different colored subtitles for each of them. It's just the two of them. But I think colored subtitles might help to make it clear who is speaking. I don't know. We'll see. I'll have to think about it. Please eat when you can. Pizza, maybe? Again, it's your choice. I do have some water. I have a nice big water bottle that's filled up, and I do sip from that while I stream. I'm not sure. There is a really nice wood fire pizza place that I could order from, but we'll see. Okay, so then he is going to start talking. He says, "Good morning." Okay, so he keeps talking. And let's see, he gets his pocket watch out after this. So what I would like to do, he's going to be using his right hand to get, his right hand to get his pocket watch. So see, like that's like this midsection. He's going to have his sash, etc., etc. And then he's got his cane that he's... Of course, he's going to have his cloak over this as well, but basically he's going to go from having his arm at his side I'll draw the cloak over after, once I kind of get this all situated, because he's basically just going to, well, I'll do it this way. Because he keeps his pocket watch in his little sash thingy. It's not how muscles work, but whatever. So he just kind of keeps it tucked in the folds of his sash. And so for this, he would need, obviously he's got his cloak over him. Basically has to reach underneath his cloak in order to get to his pocket watch. I should probably do basically a basically a third frame of that. Where you can actually see the pocket watch getting like actually pulled out. Whee. Okay, cool. Little pocket watch. Does Cyril sleep well? Sometimes people are grumpy because they don't get enough rest. I don't know if this man has ever slept a day in his life. I get fancy with my water. I add fruit. Oh, there you go. Adding cucumber and strawberry. Make it really fancy. Cyril is like my uncle and grumpy 24/7. It's true. It's his main brand recognition. And then, okay, so let's see. So then he'd have, let's see. I'm trying to look down at my own hand. His pocket watch isn't like super big or anything, but I'll figure it out. Anyways. Time. Okay, so then he checks to see what time it is, and he is kind of mean. He's a little mean. He doesn't need to be as scathing with his words as he is in this, but he's not as mean as he could be. And he knows he doesn't need to be as mean as he could be. Okay, so I think it'd be funny if we have like a in the background we just see like Bronte's blurry little toes. Help. Okay, so then he asks her about the time. So he says, "Don't you have something useful you should be doing?" Let's see, that's so. She has this cute little mannerism where she rubs her foot against the back of her opposite leg, which I think is really cute. I'd like to animate that if possible. I can do, oops, so I can do that, and let's see. So he's going to be talking like through probably most of this, and then kind of only at the end do we get he's still talking, but we're going to move visually to Brontë, and I think it'd be good if she is kind of kind of feeling a little awkward, trying not to. She is a crybaby, so she's trying not to cry because she's embarrassed. I think we'll have her arms behind her back. And we can do. I think it'd be fun. I don't know if a shot will really work, but it would be kind of funny to like emphasize one, the fact that he's so much bigger than her, because I just find that really fun, but also that her dress and everything is all screwed up. Like her dress and her stockings are all screwed up because she's wandering around. She's just like me for real. Now I suddenly get Cyril's moodiness. I'll probably get constantly annoyed at everyone too. Honestly, same. I too am a crybaby. She's just like me. She's trying so hard not to cry in front of him because she's embarrassed, and we love that. But I think it'd be funny. I mean, I'm gonna have to move her though, so I guess we just have to see more of her. But it'd be funny to kind of have he's like standing on the opposite side of her, so you can kind of see like how much bigger he is than she. And again, like if we can do it, especially with him casting like a really big shadow over her, and then basically, it'd be cute to have her little shoes like over here. Another thing that could be cute is while they're talking, if I decide that I need any, for lack of a better term, B-roll footage, I could just have like a little shot of her book laying in the grass, like on the other side of the tree. That could be fun. Oh, I didn't want to copy that. No, put that back. There we go. Okay. So she's embarrassed. And then she tries to. That's right. She tries to. That's gonna be tricky. I don't know how I'm gonna animate that. I do have her smiling, like she's kind of awkwardly. Yeah, so she's like kind of awkwardly smiling when he talks about the time. So that is accurate. I've got that down. And then she starts talking when he confronts her about what time it is and what she should be doing. Because she mumbles is the thing, and I only have I was gonna call them captions, but I only have subtitles, and I can't really convey. How am I gonna do that? I have to think about this. She fiddles with her hair and her veil when she's nervous. So she's probably gonna be like fiddling with something. She basically starts responding to him. But she's embarrassed, so she only really mumbles, which he does not approve of. Man, how am I gonna convey that with just subtitles? I mean, I do literally have Cyril interrupt her. He just straight up interrupts her and says, "Speak up, none of your mumbling." So the dialogue, I guess, will make it obvious enough that she's mumbling, because I don't have any other alternative really. So I guess that works out conveniently. So she's going to be mumbling. I swear I have good handwriting. I'm just really bad on a tablet, okay? You can see that I went kind of cursive there for that M too. Go figure. Do you guys write cursive? Did you learn that in school? I was right at the cutoff when they stopped teaching cursive. I think I was the last class at my school that learned it. Okay, so let's see. So this is gonna... What I should do... okay. How am I gonna do that? This is gonna be a really, really quick frame. And then we're gonna zoom back into his face. I learned cursive in third and fourth grade. Yeah, I learned it in third grade. Third grade. Oh my word, I can speak. I promise. Third grade. My goodness. My handwriting is bad, sort of, if I rush, but you can read cursive. Okay, gotcha. Can only sign your name though. Yeah, I can still write in cursive, and that's like how I sign my aforementioned cards that make people cry, but but again, on tablet, just not great. Okay, so let's see. So for this, I'm going to have, I'm not really sure what angle I want this to be at, but basically, so it's going to be standing. He doesn't do this in the book, or at least I don't say that he does this in the book, but it's a very Cyril mannerism. He would do this, so I'm taking artistic slash author's liberty and making him do it anyways. Because basically all he's gonna do is it's gonna be like a, let's see, let me, basically all it's gonna be is a zoomed in shot where he like jabs his cane into the ground, which is what he does when he's annoyed. Oh, this. Learned it at about the same time, and my country children are still taught that at school. Wow, it's so interesting. I remember that I was literally in fifth or sixth grade, still pretty young in school, and I was working on an assignment, and it was handwritten, so I was writing it in cursive, and my friend's sibling, their younger sibling, who I think was about in either third or fourth grade, like about the age that that I thought you were supposed to be learning cursive, he came up and was looking at my paperwork and he's like, I can't read that. I'm like, what do you mean you can't read that? My handwriting isn't that bad. And no, he couldn't read cursive because they stopped teaching it. I mean, I live in America. We have pretty terrible education, but still, even so, I was surprised. Okay, so back on track. We got that she kneels to kiss his hand. We have that he's responding. Okay, so don't you have something useful you should be doing? No. Speak up. I don't. Okay, so now we're going back to her. It's basically going to be a very quick shot of her where she basically straightens up and says it properly without mumbling. Sorry, Brontë, your eyes are very uneven. Actually, I default to worried eyebrows for her because that's her perpetual state of existence, but close enough. It'll do. And then she repeats herself. She says that she doesn't need to be in the bakery until 6 a.m., so she thought she had some time to read. But unfortunately, she fell asleep, and she doesn't realize that it's literally already 6 o'clock in the morning, and she's late. And so this is going to basically have, if I can, which I'm hoping that I can, but if I can license sound clips of some kind, there will be like a sound clip in here that plays like a clock noise. And we'll get some sort of, I don't know. I'm sure there's a clock tower somewhere. For now, it's just going to be a bell tower. Because there are clock towers and there are bell towers, and even though the church bells keep time, they don't necessarily have clock faces on them. So this is one of the bell towers. Just to kind of be cheeky and have a cute little background that shows like the church, maybe some of the church grounds, maybe like the orchard is down here, so this is where Brontë and Cyril are. You know, something cute like that. Some clouds, and then we can have some birds that were sleeping and flew off because they were woken up by the bells and they were startled. Be cute. And then we can and I don't know if I'm going to cut directly back to Brontë or if I'm going to go back to Cyril first. Because it might be funny to go back to his face kind of staring at her like, seriously? And then she's just going to be... like, oh. I love the worried eyebrows look. She's just always concerned. She's always concerned about everything, and we love that for her. This poor girl also, well, no, it's actually confirmed that she sleeps just fine. if her book reading habits are anything to go by, she sleeps just fine. Not a care in the world. But she's still concerned. Okay. So now we're all the way through that, and then I believe Cyril pinches like the bridge of his nose to kind of like sigh at her. And yeah, and then he tells her to walk with him. Okay, so pinch the bridge of his nose, come along, and then she grabs her book and she grabs her shoes. The bit where she grabs her shoes I think is going to be really cute, if I can animate that as well, because she kind of like pulls one on and is like, well, I can sketch it a little bit here, but she kind of is like trying to hop to keep up with Cyril while also trying to put her shoe on. Very, very, very ladylike and very graceful. She's trying her best. But okay, let's see here. So do I want this to be a front-on shot of Cyril? Because they've been front-on, basically both of them have been front-on for all of the dialogue. Oh wait, no, he has to put his pocket watch away first. Well, he puts his pocket watch away. Yeah, so he puts, when the bell tower rings out the hour, he puts his thing away, so... Yeah, if I'm gonna have him using that hand, I have to show that he's put the pocket watch away, otherwise his pocket watch just vanishes, so... Okay. Which is the same... the same thing that I really was frustrated with in Hellfire, but I ended up just letting it slide in Hellfire. So I might let it slide in this one too, but probably not, because there's a scene in Hellfire at the beginning where Cyril is walking and it's shown that he is putting like a cigarette in his mouth and he's carrying his cane. So he puts the cigarette in his mouth, but then when he lights the cigarette, he has one hand that's using the lighter and his other hand shields the lighter to light the cigarette. And I did a whole couple of frames that I drew where he hangs his cane over the crook of his elbow so he can do that, so he has both hands free. But I just didn't end up including those frames because they were so much of a pain. So technically, it's the same sort of continuity issue where suddenly Cyril has his hands free because I didn't show him like putting his pocket watch back or putting his cane in the crook of his elbow. And I'm trying to just let those things slide because they're not super important, but at the same time they do bother me. Okay, so he is going to... Let's see if I can... I think this is the... okay. Because, well, I guess I didn't draw it in the first one, but... I'll draw it in now, because basically the watch will have like a little open case cover thingy, and he'll click that shut. I probably am just going to be content with clicking the watch shut, and I don't think I need to actually show him putting it back. Maybe. No, I think rats. I think I do. If I'm going to do him, like, pinching the bridge of his nose, I have to show him putting the... Fine. 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 I'm just going to copy that other one then. So let's get... Basically just take this and put it in reverse. Okay, so now we're going to see him putting it back, because I can't go from him having that hand occupied to having it suddenly be empty with no explanation. Okay. I think to make this a little bit more interesting, because again the dialogue is kind of ending at this point, we'll have Brontë, I mean it's not going to be this exaggerated, but Brontë. I'm so sorry, Brontë. You are my favorite child, but I also am very cruel to you when I sketch you. But basically, Cyril will be kind of in the foreground, and he'll already kind of be turning away from her. And he'll probably have like his arm out here, because he's got his, you can't see it, but he's resting his arm on his cane. He's very exasperated with her. And he just says, "Alright." Does he prefer cigars or just cigarettes? Mostly just cigarettes. If you give him a nice cigar, he'll probably be fine with that. He'll probably like it as like a special occasion, kind of a treat, but he's just a anxious smoker more than anything else. It's just a bad habit, a bad crutch that he leans on. The quartermaster, well, he's not called the quartermaster in this story. He's called the deacon, but he's filling the same role. The deacon, Maddock, does prefer cigars. He usually only has cigarettes, but he prefers cigars. Okay, so then Cyril's gonna say, okay, come on. And I think... So he turns all the way around, and then he's like, all right, come on. And he starts carrying, because he doesn't really walk with his cane. He doesn't need it to walk. He just holds it. So I'll be like, all right, come on, let's go to work. All right, and then she is going to basically he's going to continue moving kind of out of the frame, which means he technically has to have a walk cycle, which is the worst possible thing. I hate walk cycles. And then Brontë will... I'll draw her a little bit more properly. Brontë will probably look back this way, because that's where she was lying down. We'll go to pick up her stuff, which is her shoes. Her shoes and her book. So I'll probably do like a quick shot of her shoes. Should basically look like that, and then she would come in with, like, you know how you normally pick up a pair. That's a horrible hand. Wow. You know, when you normally pick up a pair of shoes, you have like these fingers, and you like hook your other two fingers into them to like pick up both in the pair really quick. So something like that. She'll pick up both of her shoes, and then she will pick up her book. Actually, I might have her pick up the book first, yeah, because she picks up the book first and then she tries to get her shoes on. So I'm gonna do whatever this book is that she's reading. It'll be up there in the grass, maybe some leaves. I don't know. It'd be cute to also use this as an excuse to draw some environmental stuff, because that's also something I'd like to practice, but we'll see. It's not really the big focus. I just really like seeing Brontë and Cyril interact. But that, I believe, is going to do it for me. It is that half-hour mark that I mentioned. That was pretty good. I think I got a fair bit of work done. So let's see, how many of these did I end up doing? I have one. That's the start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Not too bad. Decently productive. I'm pretty happy with that. All right, so I am going to call it a day. Let me put the Discord in the chat one more time, just in case anybody didn't get it earlier and they would still like it. Again, I'll also put it in the community tab. I always forget what that's called. But yes, thank you very, very much. I hope you guys had a wonderful time. Always a pleasure. Always love to stream with you. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and I will see you back here again, 11 a.m. Not this upcoming Sunday, but the one after. I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening. The evening? Afternoon? Day? Wherever? Well, it's evening for some of you. Evening if you're European. Afternoon if you're pretty much anyone else. Have a great weekend, everyone. I'll see you next time.